Hey guys, in this video, you will watch step by step how to build a treehouse in the middle of the forest. We will see each stage one by one, from the foundation to the roof, from wall coverings to interior details. Which materials are used, which techniques are used, it is all in this video. An inspiring and intriguing construction process awaits you, full of real images from start to finish. If you are ready, let's get started right away. The ground preparation begins. After determining the exact area where the house will sit, the man sets to work to create a flat platform. He covers the ground with a waterproof sheet and carefully places the planks on it. This is the first step in both organizing the work area and creating a solid surface for the subsequent wood installations. All the planks he will use are ready on the sidelines and everything proceeds systematically. This stage is of great importance as it is the foundation that will support the rest of the structure. We continue with the second stage. Now the structure begins to rise. The man assembles the boards on the skeleton he fixed to the ground, creating the first walls. The spaces specially left for the windows are carefully cut and placed. Then the outside of the wall is completely covered with a sheet. This provides both temporary protection and preparation for the external cladding. Each piece is expertly placed and the structure takes shape step by step. Now the house is no longer just a floor, but begins to take on a real form with distinct wall lines. At this point, the structure is almost starting to reveal itself. The walls are complete, transparent panels have been added to the roof, and the veranda has begun to be built on the front facade. The man cuts natural tree branches one by one and places them on the railings one by one, each piece chosen with both durability and aesthetics in mind. The positioning of the windows, the shape of the entrance, and the wood used on the exterior facade allow the structure to integrate with nature. Now it is time for the interior details. This time, the man focuses on the interior of the house and begins to complete the wall coverings. The wooden panels are meticulously placed, the dimensions are adjusted to the millimeter, and the walls are closed smoothly. The window opening that lets in light provides natural light inside and makes the house look more spacious. On the side, the previously prepared parts are waiting in order for assembly. At this stage, speed is not the priority, but perfection, because this place is no longer being prepared for shelter, but for living. Now the structure has a truly magical appearance. The upper floor has been completed, a large balcony area has been added, and every detail has almost become a work of art. The railings made from natural tree branches, the wooden ornaments on the roof edges, and the wood pieces used on the facade clearly show that this house is not an ordinary hut. As the man puts the finishing touches on the upper floor, the structure now turns into a true masterpiece rising from the forest. It is both solid, aesthetic, and completely in harmony with nature. This house, which he built from start to finish with only his hands, rises like a monument to his own labor. In this scene, it seems like there is a short break from the construction, but in fact, the preparations are in full swing. The man is preparing special wooden skeletons for the roof superstructure in his workshop. Each angle is carefully measured, and the pieces are screwed together securely. These sections will then be moved onto the structure to form a new annex or roof form. Proper angles, durability, and symmetry are very important at this stage because this will determine the final silhouette of the structure. The prepared pieces are designed to be not only functional but also aesthetically pleasing. In this scene, the man is carrying the swing frame he had previously prepared in the workshop up to the balcony on the upper floor of the house to be mounted. This frame, made up of thick and twisted branches, is not just a swing, but also a detail that will add character to the facade of the structure. Each piece has been measured in advance and the connection points have been prepared. Now, this frame will be carefully fixed to the balcony floor, creating a swing area that is both durable and aesthetic. The house is no longer just a living space, it is completed with special details designed for rest and enjoyment. final touches are being made and the spirit of the house is now fully revealed. In this scene, the man is assembling decorative wooden sections on the interior ceiling. Each piece is carefully placed like a mosaic and adds a warm atmosphere to the ceiling with its natural texture. On the walls, a unique decor created with wood, ceramic plates and colorful slats draws attention. The large window opening invites the natural landscape outside, and this house is no longer just a place to live, but also feels like a work of art. This structure, shaped by hand from beginning to end, is now both a shelter and a source of inspiration.